Now, a super sophisticated AI chatbot released onto the web in November sent shockwaves through the education sector because the work it produced was so good, students were probably able to cheat and use that without getting caught. But now a new gotcha tool has been launched to help teachers and lecturers detect when homework and assignments are being churned out by a robot. David Cyrus is one of the developers of the free online app. It's called AICheatCheck here in Australia, and he joins me now. Good morning, David. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Nadia. Thanks for having me on.
First, we did talk a bit about it on this segment before Christmas, but what is ChatGPT? Just explain what that is.
Sure. So ChatGPT is what's called a large language model, which is basically a computer system that has been trained on a very large corpus of text, in this case, a big chunk of the internet. And it uses a technology called NLP, that's natural language processing, meaning that the AI is able to understand language like a human would, with the context and the tone, etc. And so this AI has effectively learned everything from that big chunk of the internet and is now able to use and has basically constructed a mental model of the world based on that information that it's been fed.
And how is that different then to the chatbots that we've had before?
Chatbots that we had before, they would operate in a very linear way. They would be programmed for a specific line or a few lines of conversation. Whereas ChatGPT, because it's basically read every publicly available piece of human writing or writing in general. And so it is able to talk about anything, unlike your typical chatbot, which can only talk for whatever it's specifically programmed to do.
You were saying as soon as this was released, you knew there'd be a tsunami of cheating on the horizon. How has it been used?
Absolutely. We started working on this problem in November, and I foresaw it a while ago, but ChatGPT came out of nowhere, which is the latest version of GPT. It's effectively GPT 3.5. And yes, as soon as it was released, we said, yes, there's going to be an absolute tsunami of cheating coming up. And sure enough, it has been. And educators are crying for help. And students are using ChatGPT to write their essays in whatever tone they want, on whatever subject they want. And the essays that it writes they're completely original. In fact, if you were to ask it to write the same essay twice, it would write it in a different way because it operates based on probabilities. And so sometimes based on a coin toss, it can go one direction or the other. So it always generates original content. So students are using it to write their essays, do even their math problems. Computer programming students are using it to write them code for their computer programming courses and much more. Now those are some uses of ChatGPT, but there are also positives.
And before we get to the positives, because I am interested in the positives, but in your view, this sort of undermines academic integrity. It is like cheating. It's not getting a helping hand. In your book, is this cheating?
Yes, absolutely, because ultimately, if a student does use AI to write their essay and submits it on their own, fundamentally they are being dishonest about who did the work, and the whole purpose of education is to train people to have good critical thinking skills, writing skills, speaking skills, problem solving skills. And so if students are not developing those, and cheating the system, we're not going to have a ready workforce. And really the students would be cheating themselves since they wouldn't get the learning and training and development that they need.
So what are the positives?
The positives are that ChatGPT could be used as a learning aid as long as students are being honest about the way that they are using it, and as long as there are some guardrails in place and some checks and balances in place and some systems like our tool, AICheatCheck. So as long as those systems are in place to prevent dishonesty, I think there are positives. And some of those positives is that, for example, imagine a world where every single student everywhere in the world had access to a private tutor who happens to be available 24/7, works for free, knows everything, can write at a professor level, can solve problems, and perhaps they could even make sure that the student isn't cheating.
But not do my work for me.
Exactly.
This is interesting. David Cyrus is my guest. Now, David, you are the developer of AICheatCheck. How does that work?
Basically, the way these large language models like ChatGPT, the way they write, it's based on problems. So basically what it does is it predicts how, it basically calculates the probability that one word follows another, which is like how children learn language. They learn that I am good, that good follows I am in the sentence, I am good, right?
Yeah.
And through repetition, they learn. That's basically how this ChatGPT has been trained. So there's a very methodical way in which it writes. Perhaps not methodical, but there's an algorithm behind the way it writes. And that leaves patterns in sentence structure, word choice, the probability of one word following another. And so what our tool does, and our tool is an AI model as well. So we're fighting AI with AI. What we've done is we've trained it on a large corpus of human text and AI generated text, and trained it to recognize the different patterns between those two types of text. And so based off of its pattern detection abilities, it's able to detect any piece of text that was written by an AI.
So what role then will AICheatCheck play in the future? Because this is a free app, so are universities now and schools going to use this?
Yes, in fact, we had a meeting with one university this morning, and they are distributing it to their staff, professors. They actually insisted that we should be charging for it. And then we have another university we're meeting with tonight, and they've actually asked us, how much is your product? And right now we released it for free because we just wanted to, because setting up contracts with universities and such, that is a lengthy process. We just wanted to get this out as fast as possible before the new school year. So we just wanted to get it out there and get into as many educators' hands as possible. And we trust that if we're creating value and we're offering a valuable product, that will make money later.
This is really interesting. And so universities at the moment, what about schools? At what level is this more geared towards universities? Because I imagine we'd get a bit of cheating in high schools as well.
Universities probably where they have a bigger stake in the problem. And that's why here in Australia, there's a government agency called TESCA, Tertiary Education Standards Quality Agency. And their job is to make sure that a university degree from an Australian university is of quality and is indicative of the graduates' abilities. So there's a bigger stake in the higher ed sector. It's also one of Australia's largest industries because of all the international students that come here. But however, it is also a problem in grade school as well, and this could be used equally for grade school. So we are training our model on all levels of human writing, on university level, high school level, middle school level, etc. In fact, our tool, the current version of our tool, if you were to ask it to analyze a piece of text, in a second it will tell you what writing level that piece of text was. So if you have a grade 8 student and you submit their text into our tool, AICheatCheck, it'll tell you it was written by an AI, and it'll also tell you that this is at a university graduate, postgraduate level. And obviously that would raise some red flags.
Yeah. So it's really specific.
Oh yes, absolutely. And it will get better with time. The more data we train it with and the more users use it. And that's another reason why we just wanted to get as many users as possible, as quickly as possible, because the more people use it, the smarter it gets. And when we get feedback, we're able to continuously refine the model.
It's an interesting conversation. I do appreciate your time. David Cyrus there, wow, how things move and moving so quickly. He's one of the developers of AICheatCheck, and interesting there, this is to combat ChatGPT, so it's basically to stop students from cheating and auto-generating their essays. And as you heard David there mention that he's already been meeting today with a couple of universities, and this app is free at the moment as well. Get it out there as quick as possible. He'll worry about charging later. Good to talk to you, David. That was an incredibly interesting chat.